Okay, so I'm gonna be recording a quick video to more or less explain and go over an overview of what this spec entails, give you an example, and explain some of the terminology behind it. Okay, very important note: everything here is not written on stone. Everything is subject to change, and the example that I'm gonna show you is a little bit different because I implemented things in a little bit different of a way, but the overall concept should and is indeed the same. Okay, so I'm gonna start by reading the specs. Okay, this is the summoning catalyser one. This is some general Minecraft information of where you can find some more information. The minimal requirements, you can read this later. These might change just like everything, but these are the ones that should be the same for everybody. And they should all have their own textures, their own names, and their own implementations in the case of armors and tools where they have different resistance, mining speed, attack damage, and just different overall stats from anything currently found in the game. Okay, and the main feature is a sphere catalyser. Okay, so you need to implement a new tile entity. A tile entity is just a fancy block that stores extra information, right? Because there's thousands and thousands of blocks in the game, you don't want all of those storing a lot of information. So what Minecraft does is that they have their blocks and they have a tile entity. A tile entity is just a ghost block that is stored within a block. It does reference to the block, and you tell a block, hey, you're gonna have a tile entity, and the tile entity is gonna be this instance, and that way you only have specific blocks storing a lot of information, and the blocks that don't need a lot of information just held like 8 bits or something like that. It's really little. Okay, so this block is going to be the summoning catalyser. This block is going to store exactly 2 items, and they'll persist when the world is closed. So if I close the game and I open it back up, this sphere catalyser will have the exact same items that I left on it when I closed it. Okay, the method for you storing the items in the machine is up to you. You can use that GUI, which is just a user interface, right? This is a GUI showing you the text of the PDF, and the container is just what Minecraft uses to store the items of a GUI. Okay, or you can right click the block with the item, and it can automatically go into the block, or any way you can think of. Okay, essentially, if you can't see the item, then you need to, by hitting it with a stick, know what's stored in it. How it tells you is up to you. The easiest way is to just tell you in chat, like, oh, it has this item in slot 1, this item in slot 2, and if it doesn't have any, it'll just say none. Okay, then you need to implement the following item in one of the 2 ways. You can either do 4 items that are identical in all ways except the texture and a variable called type. Okay, that variable is a string. That's the easiest way you can do it. And one of them will be base, one of them will be lightning, one of them will be explosion, and one of them will be fireball. Okay, or you can do 1 item having 4 meta values. Meta values is kind of Minecraft way of doing the same item multiple different ways. For example, flowers. You have 16 different flowers, or wool. You have 16 different wools, and Minecraft didn't want to have to do 16 different block classes. So what they do is they do a meta value, which is in the ID of the block, 1 digit changes, or in the binary save of the block, 1 little bit changes, and based on that little change is what texture I'm going to use, and what am I going to do with the block, right? So you can do either of the 2 approaches. And regardless, one of them will be base, as I said, and the other 2 are going to be special spheres, and they need to inherit from the base if you do 4 items, right? If I do four items, there's going to be the base, and then the other 3 are going to extend from my base. Okay, that's very important because it makes a lot of things very, very simple for you. Okay, so these 4 are going to be lightning, explosion, and fireball. And as the name suggested, the lightning will summon a lightning where the player is looking when they right click. Explosion will clear an explosion wherever they're looking when you right click. And fireball will summon a fireball in the direction they're facing. My bad. And they will all have a charge attribute that will go down each time I right click. They'll start at any number that you define, and each click will go down by amount that you say. Okay, when it reaches 0, they all need to go back to base. Okay, then you need to also implement a catalyser, right? You need to implement a feature to the catalyser. My bad, I read that wrong. that it does the following based on the combination of items inside when I right click with a sword. Okay, so in my case, I right click with some other item that I created. In your case, it'll be with a sword. If I have a sphere and redstone, the sphere can be any type, then it'll consume both of those items and it'll return a lightning type sphere with X amount of charges. Sphere plus fire charge will return a fireball type sphere with X amount of charges, and sphere plus gunpowder will return explosion sphere como que with X amount of charges, where X is also defined by you. Okay, I think that's pretty well explained. If you have any doubts, obviously you can all email me or any of the TAs. Now I'm going to show you. It's nighttime, that's why you can't see anything. Time, set, day. Okay. Pro tip: if you don't want the day to cycle, you can do game rule. Game rule do daylight cycle and put it to false, and then the night cycle will never change. Okay. Also, you don't have to do as fancy as I did. I did my blocks very fancy. This texture is taken from some other mod. I did not make this texture, but I did make all the rendering in it, right? For example, this UI, I decided to do it like this. And if I put a sphere here, it'll render my sphere, right? I'm really proud of how this turned out. I really liked it. And this was indeed made by me. And if I give it redstone, you can see the redstone, right? If I put gunpowder, you'll see the gunpowder. And if you put fire charge, right? This is another mod that I have installed, so disregard that. And these tabs are also other mods. This is my tab with all my items. There's stuff from other specs, there's stuff from specs of other years, and there's stuff that I've just made on my own because I got bored or something. Okay, so once you have the corresponding items, right? I'm gonna show you that if I have this and a piece of dirt, for example, the one that I'm using is called totem activator, and if I right click it, nothing will happen, right? And something cool is that if I go here, oh, okay, I don't have the audio, but it gave me this summoning sphere and the items are gone, right? So if I update the UI, nothing appears. Okay, so now I have two of them. If I do it on this one, it'll give me this summoning sphere, and if I do it on this one, right, and once I update it, see, and you can see that each of them are different types, right? One's lightning, one's explosion, one's fireball. And if I go to the lightning, and let's go to our friend over here that says subject, and we can lightning, and the charge goes down. It started as 50, and once I do enough, right, 20, 15, 10, 5, right, where is it? Now it's type base and it has 50 again. Okay, so now I can't right click it. The texture doesn't change. That's a minor bug. I already fixed it in another version, I just haven't pulled it. So yeah, but it went back to base and now it does nothing, right? So if I go to my explosion, you can see that the explosion, where is it? Explosion, does the explosion work? I don't know. It's crashing because I did some changes. That's my fault. But the explosion should be the same as, oh, there we go. Okay, it's working. It was just that one specifically. But yeah, see, that's a huge explosion. And if I go to my fire charge, it does a fire charge. Because I think the error was that I didn't handle when I click on air, and I wasn't clicking on any specific item, so it was crashing, right? Because it didn't find any block to cast the explosion onto. Okay, so yeah, and you see that all of those are going down as I use them. Okay, so I think that's all for this mod. So any doubts, any questions, do let me know.